Welcome to the West Ham Voice on Friday afternoon, lunchtime. These ain't going to work. People just don't expect me to be on at this time of day. So let's see how it goes for, I don't know, the third or fourth time this season. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you've all had a good week. And, we've got a game coming up on Monday that we're quite kind of looking forward to really put us to the test as to how far West Ham have come under Graham Potter when we host Newcastle on Monday night. I'm going to do a preview about that game over the weekend, so watch out for that. But one thing I did want to talk about is all this stuff that's going on, all these rumours that are going on about transfers. Now, I did say this, didn't I? As soon as the transfer window was going to shut, I said that won't stop the transfer rumours. It won't stop all the nonsense that's being thrown out there as to who we're going to buy, who we're going to sell, and so on and so forth. So I thought I'd just do a brief update, because you can never say never in the transfer window. There are obviously stories that are out there that usually are just a load of garbage. There are a load of stories out there that, might have an element of truth about them. And then there are an awful lot of stories, probably the vast majority of them, speculating. And when we're told that we have an absolute concrete, I love the new word now that we've started to use recently on social media, concrete interest, that we have a concrete interest in a player. Sometimes it couldn't be further from the truth. And I'll tell you for why. There are times when we've gone out there and we've made an inquiry, is your player available for a transfer? And 9 times out of 10, that's about as far as that concrete interest goes. And most of the time, it goes no further than that. But of course, in order for many West Ham social media sites, the ITKs and the journalists all needing to stay relevant, they continue to provide us updates of these concrete interests that we have. Look, some links are simply lazy journalism, regurgitating the same stories that have been out there over and over and over again. And how many of these stories of real substance is sometimes hard to know, but eventually easy to work out. So how do we, as fans, look at, work out what is relevant, what is true, and what isn't? Look, the one thing that we've got to take into account now is that we've got Graham Potter and Carl McCauley at the helm, and that means we're entering uncharted territory, uncharted waters. We've only got to look at what they've done in their time at Brighton to see that they've got a very, very different approach to transfers than probably our previous managers, head coaches, and so on. So we may well find ourselves hearing about some players from an obscure league around the world that none of us have ever heard of before. And that's going to be the interesting thing, especially going to be keeping the journalists and the ITKs on their toes, because as McCauley has done with the likes of Cucurella and others that he brought to Brighton at the time, these are players that we might have heard of in the distance, but not really certain about them. Yet at the same time, McCauley and Potter are also known to bring in established players as well. They've been known to bring in players that would seem quite unlikely, and Potter has made the best use of them. He's demonstrating that at West Ham United at the moment with the likes of Aaron Creswell, and he also demonstrated that when he was at Brighton with, for example, bringing in Danny Welbeck on a free transfer from Watford. Now, if you recall, his brief time at Watford didn't go so well. He was a month away from turning 30, and Potter and McCauley thought he was good enough to risk bringing the player to Brighton after having quite a decent career at the likes of Man United and Arsenal, not having such a good time at Watford, and then they brought him to Brighton, and he's done, on the whole, reasonably well. So I think we might have not only some players that we've never heard of before, we may also get players through the door that many will be scratching their heads going, really? But I've got faith and I've got trust in the Potter and the McCauley process. So I'm not going to be throwing my toys out of the pram I'm not saying, by the way, that we're getting Danny Welbeck. That was an example. But I'm not going to throw my toys out of the pram if we get similar players like that. So anyway, how do we sort out the wheat from the chaff? Well, I'm going to go through the latest transfer stories, and I'm going to give you my honest view on the probability of whether any of them are really going to happen or have the potential of happening. But before I do that, let's go in to the comments and see who's here. Good afternoon to you, Anthony. I hope you're well. Yes, if you're new to the channel, please hit the like button and please subscribe as well. Thank you for that. Good evening. Good afternoon, Epic. I hope you're well. Hammerette, how are you? At work, unfortunately. Well, you concentrate on what you've got to do, and if you can come on, all the better. Graham, good afternoon to you, mate. It's cold and dark here in Alberta. I don't want to disappoint you, but it's sunny and almost warm here in London. Almost, because it's only something like 15 degrees, 16, 17 degrees, something like that. That ain't warm. That's lukewarm. That's tepid. Good afternoon to you, Stephen. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Mr. Tiny, how are you? Mr. Roussos. I'm surprised you're doing a show about David and Gomes. Am I, though? You'll have to watch to find out. No chance of getting these two unless we sell, seeing as the puppet Whetstone says we're skint. Bowlane Lounge, good afternoon to you guys. I hope you're well. Anthony, probably Sullivan's bluff has been called. Well, money is tight. Let's be honest. You've only got to look at, I won't mention that word mid-afternoon, Stephen. Thank you. You've only got to look at the accounts to understand that. So, I mean, yeah, you've got to take with a pinch of salt what Sean says as well. Obsidian, good afternoon to you. Mr. Rolf, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. I hope the family's well. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon to you, Andy. How are you? Obsidian. Work from home on a Friday, so it's all good from likewise. This is my lunch hour. Steve, concessions sorted, season ticket prices frozen. That silly excuse about us being skint for the summer transfer windows. Let's see what happens. Let's see. I'm going to do another show to see who we're likely to move on in the summer. I can't do it all in this show. I'll just focus on the players that I think, that we're linked to. But I'm going to do another show to talk about the players that might be leaving and how much money I think we can generate. And it will surprise you, because it probably doesn't mean any of the big players going. Peter, good afternoon. Mr. Artois. If we've got over much bigger and better teams, than us, it would be a huge shock. You're going to have to rewrite that. I didn't quite understand that, I'm afraid, mate. Sorry about that. Kent, good afternoon, mate. I hope you're well. It will be a miracle if we sign David and Gomes. They're top 4 players. I agree. Who else have we got here? Obsidian. I have a concrete interest in Scarlett Johansson. Hasn't got me anywhere yet. Exactly. Aaron, good afternoon, mate. I hope you're well. Peter, if we had a building firm as our sponsor, I could understand the concrete interest. I like that. Peter, my God, that mic will totally your face it in my face. Look, this is what happens to it. I'll bring it closer. There you go. How about that? The mic is actually quite small. It's just that I've got to get it far enough away so it doesn't reverb, and I've got to get it close enough so you can hear me. So it looks rather big because I've got it away from the camera, or closer to the camera, as I should say. Steve, Nick from Clapham Blues reckons we could have agreed a deal for Gomes ages ago, free agent in the summer, but word is Sulky won't pay the wages. Well, we don't know what wages Gomes is after. We've got a good idea what wages that Jonathan David is after, but not necessarily Gomes. Bolin, don't see it, Ken. I can expect some will hold on to we could have had narrative, much like Amorim, although no one's shouting about him at the moment. One thing you've got to understand about transfers, and I've really got to make this clear again, is whenever there's a rumor out there, it doesn't mean it's come from the club. It's usually come from an agent who wants to sell his player on. You're going to see an example of that when I quickly run through the list of players that we're apparently linked to. So there are, rumors sometimes generate from the agent. Rumors sometimes generate from the club that wants to sell the player. They don't always, and hardly ever, to be quite honest with you, generate from the team that wants to buy the player, to be quite honest. So we've got to take that. We've got to understand that logic because, I know what happens. What happens is we're linked to a player. There's all this excitement. Then we don't buy him. And then everyone goes, oh, the board messed it up. the board didn't, etc. Sometimes these rumours are just merely that. They're rumours and no more than that. Sometimes the rumours go no further, as I said, than West Ham having made an inquiry about a player. Peter, I like the way Brighton and Bournemouth have done their business recently, quiet and not spread around for all to know about. And do you know what? Do you know why there are so many transfer rumours knocking around whilst the transfer window is not open? Because all of a sudden, under Potter, there's not a lot of news around. Well, there is, but it's a lot of speculation. West Ham United, I mean, what's been quite interesting for the last month or so is there's a lot of stuff. I mean, Potter will be quite honest about players in terms of their fitness, etc. He won't keep us guessing, unlike the previous managers and head coaches. And we can talk about that when Potter comes out and says so-and-so is near to being back or he won't be back for a few months, etc. That's refreshing. That's good to hear. But all the other news is kept quiet. And I bet you, when it comes to the transfer window this summer, we're all going to be scratching our heads. There's a lot of, you've got to distinguish between the speculation and the reality. And I guarantee that we're not, the one time we're going to hear about, or for many occasions that we hear about players coming to West Ham is when they're about to sign. It's going to be very, very interesting. Peter, both Man United and Arsenal will love Welbeck right now, wouldn't they just? Make West Ham great again. Good afternoon to you. Offers on the David and Gomes at the same time as season ticket renewals. It must be. This is what I mean. Everyone is speculating that this is coming from the club. I guarantee you that the club have got nothing to do with the speculation on Gomes and Jonathan David. I guarantee it. So you're absolutely right. You start to see it cynically, but sometimes, and I'm not just trying to back the club in any way, but sometimes these rumours come out, got nothing to do with the club. Bill, good afternoon to you, mate. I hope you're well. Steve, Stel, you say you have trust in Potter and McCauley. Me too, but Sully could spoil it all of it. What could he spoil? Because it's not his money, it's the club's money. And you're going to have to watch the other show I'm going to do to speculate who might be leaving and then have an understanding of how much money we could possibly generate. Darren, good afternoon to you, mate. I hope you're well. Who else have we got? Toha, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Steve, no, unfortunately, he's away. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a show tonight, but I'll see. I'll think about it. Still live in the afternoon. Michael, good afternoon to you, mate. I ain't got long to go. I've only got an hour for my lunch. John, morning from Trinidad. I hope you're well, mate. Sammy, rest in peace, Hammers Mikey. Passed away last night. Are you? Shut up. Seriously? Is that true? Wow. If that is true, then my condolences. God, that shocked me. He only sent me a message literally yesterday. Oh, wow. Okay. Rest in peace, Hammers Mikey, if that's true. I'm not saying it's not true, Sammy. I'm just really shocked. Greg, not McCauley's game buying top players, more buying players that are under the radar. Welbeck an exception, but really the only one. Welbeck is an example of picking up a player who many would have thought his career was coming to an end or going nowhere, and resurrected it at Brighton. But you're absolutely right, Greg. He's not known, McCauley, for buying in top players. So when you hear some of the speculation that I'm going to go through, where players, we're paying £40 million for this player, or we're in for this £35 million player. No, I doubt it very much. Michael, Stel, how much in the war chest, considering we owe 32 mil on Todibo already in the summer? Probably not or not. We're probably going to start at a base of around 30 million. I don't know that. I'm guessing from previous seasons, and then we're going to have to sell in order to generate. But I reckon we're going to sell enough to get what we need. But I also reckon that there's not going to be a wholesale change in the summertime. I think there are going to be a number of players that you might all think they should go, but I reckon we're going to be keeping a number of players at West Ham next season as well. Let's try and get this mic sorted out. Really sad to hear, Sammy. Absolutely, yes. Usual. Rest in peace. That I'm really surprised. He literally messaged me yesterday. Matt, good afternoon to you, Matt. My live chat doesn't open on my laptop. What a shame, but here. You're there. You live chat, just well. Thank you for commenting. Everyone's saying rest in peace to Mikey. Absolutely. Wow. Mate, West Ham, great. You're doing a show with the King of Jibbing. He's not around, but I will consider doing a show maybe later on in some way. Peter, has that Celtic youngster signed 100%? Well, it's not been announced, so I can't tell you if he has. Apparently, he's passed a medical. David and Goliath incoming, more likely. Toho, absolutely. Matt, we've fallen so far since the COVID season. Forget the trophy. In English football, we are poor again. Let's scroll down. Make West Ham, but still, X and the board stooge leaves this story of David. Lead this story of David. Well, X does. The board stooge just writes out anything just to get hits. But it doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's true. Peter, saw something the other day that said Potter might give one or two more youngsters some game time when we are mathematically safe. That would not surprise me at all. Everyone's saying condolences to Hammer Mikey. God, Ricky, hi Stel. How many of our current players out on loan will stay with the first team squad next season? Probably none. But I'm doing a separate show about who stays and who goes because I can't fit it all in. But please do watch out for that. I'll probably put that out. I might do that tonight actually if I can finish the script. Joe, someone said same about Hammers Mikey last week on another West Ham live show. Yeah, oh bloody hell. That's not funny, is it, really? I hope that's not true. Moutster, what would you do about Soler? There's another 25 million if we want him, isn't it? I personally, I would let Soler go. I hope you're right about it. It is a sick joke. Oh, God, yeah, it throws you, doesn't it, when you're doing a live show? Don't think they will announce Cummings till the end of the season as he's still playing for Celtic. That's a good point. Kent, goalkeeper, centre-back, centre midfield, box-to-box striker is all we need. Not much then. Peter, how good would it be if we sign a striker who came good and scored goals? Nico, how are you, mate? Sully must have given Potter some assurances when he hired him. Let's hope Potter is successful and Sully has to back him. Let's hope so. Thanks for the lump sign show. But what does backing mean? What does backing look like? Because we're not going to go out there and spend a fortune. I can guarantee you that. But that doesn't mean we're not going to get players in. Scott, good afternoon to you. We're all in need of an overhaul in this squad, unfortunately. Keeper, centre back, two midfielders. How many summers have we done overhauls? It might be the probably fourth, fifth, sixth one in a row. Matt, I don't want Soler. Panels, let him go back to. I don't want Soler. Let him go back to Paris. Who else have we got? Fly Fox, good afternoon to you. I hope you're well. I hear a lot of talk about building over time, but fans, not just West Ham fans, seem to have little patience, or maybe it's just that some people who write articles and make videos seem that way. Well, I did say it, and I am being cynical, and I do a show myself, but you've got to fill the columns somehow, haven't you? Good afternoon, Daniela. I didn't see where you say hi, but good afternoon to you. Darren, we've got the other youngsters to come in the summer. We've signed and loaned straight back to the club. Yeah, okay. Let's stop there. Let me go into the latest transfer rumours, shall we? And then I'll come back to your comments. So, first of all, as people have mentioned, we need recruitments in certain areas. Yes, of course. We're going to be looking at how many of the youngsters might be available next season. Freddie Potts, many believe he'll be coming back into the senior squad. Maybe Callum Marshall, or maybe as a striker, but maybe he'll go out on loan to a championship team next season. Of course, we've got Ollie Scarles. We've got other players, in the academy that may well fill a few gaps in the squad next season. But let's start with defence. And the rumours are that we're interested. Now, please, like I said, these are all rumours. I'm not sitting here telling you that actually, you'll get what I mean when I actually go through them. So the first one up is Club Brugge left back Maxim de Kuiper. Now, I know we're likely to lose Emerson in the summer. That's a possibility. But I'm uncertain that we're going to go out and get ourselves a left back when the development of Ollie Scarles has gone so well. Now, sure, it's always good to have competition for every position, but I would imagine that Potter and Macaulay are going to be looking at for a solid backup to Scarles. I think Scarles becomes the left wing back at the club for next season, and so a backup would make total sense. But would you go out and get someone like De Kuiper, who's going to be looking for first team football and not necessarily want to come to be a backup to anybody? Right. The probability, I think, of De Kuiper coming in is about 30% at best. So Good player, absolutely. Would make most decent teams in the Premier League, of which we're one. But I just think with Ollie Scholes being there now and proving his worth, why would we go out and get ourselves yet another player? Okay, like I said, maybe as a backup, but De Kuiper is not going to want to be that backup. Right, last summer, we were linked to Kyle Walker-Peters, who had 1 year left on his contract at Southampton. But Southampton wanted a bigger fee than expected, even though the player was in his final year of his contract. So West Ham have looked elsewhere, and we ended up with someone called Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I mean, come on. But with Walker-Peters' contract now coming to an end at the end of this season, and almost definitely Southampton's tenure as a Premier League club, we're linked to him again. Now, this is a bit different, Kyle Walker-Peters, because could he fit into a squad that already has Aaron Wan-Bissaka in it? I think possibly yes. And the reason being is because of his versatility. Now, I've just said about not having someone to replace Ollie Scholes on the left-hand side, but someone like Kyle Walker-Peters, who could be added to a squad, you know, to be in competition with Wan-Bissaka, being able to be used on the left-hand side as well. I think possibly there's a difference here. There's a reality that he could be a really good squad player, someone who will be able to just walk into the team if need be on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. Look, we know that Graham Potter is going to want to persevere with a three-man centre-back setup. So yes, someone like Walker-Peters coming in on a free, quite possibly. We know Vladimir Coufal is almost certain to leave as well. So yes, I think with this one, there is a good chance that we could get Kyle Walker-Peters into the club, around about a 65% chance. Right, who else have we got? Now, a number of centre-backs are being linked to us, and there's no doubt that despite having spent heavy on defenders in the past two summer windows, we still need fresh legs in that department. Now, whilst most links are focused on right-footed centre-backs, I somehow feel that Graham Potter and Carl McCauley are going to focus their attentions on left-footed centre-backs in the transfer window. Now, I know there's a whole load of unknowns about Naifeh Gerd. Apparently, the stories are suggesting that Potter wants him back. Would I have him back? Yes, of course. Why not? He's proven to be a good player. He was a good player when he first arrived. He's proven that he can be a good player in Spain. I know a lot of people, even myself, have suggested that maybe the Spanish football is much better suited to him. But the fact that we, first of all, that left-footed centre-backs are few and far between, someone like Naifeh Gerd coming back, playing alongside Max Kilman, and with Todibo on the right of Max Kilman, all of a sudden, that could look pretty good, pretty solid. Now, the reason why I think Potter is going to go for a left-sided centre-back is because he's going to want to keep Max Kilman in the centre. I've been saying this for quite some time now. Kilman in the back four, yeah, maybe okay, is okay. But Kilman in the back three is absolutely superb. And you can see what's happened in the past few games under Potter, playing the back three, that Kilman looks so assured. So quite possibly, look, Gerd is 29 years of age at the end of this month. And he himself may not want to come back to West Ham. But if he doesn't, then we're going to have a good 25 odd million pounds to use to go out and get ourselves another centre back. Now, as I've said, many of the rumours are related to right-footed centre backs, and the first one is Genoa's Koni De Winter. The 22-year-old Belgian international has been with Genoa barely a season. He left Juventus at the end of in the summer for a mere €8 million. Now, there may be an element of truth in this player coming to West Ham. He would fit the mould of what Graham Potter and Carl McCauley would be looking for. A young player with a lot of promise for a very reasonable fee. Now, we do have a plethora of players on the right-hand side. Jean-Claire Todibo, Dinos Mavropanos. Mavropanos could possibly be leaving. They're currently competing for the right side of a back three. But we've only got... The only player at the moment that can play on the left side of a back three is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. You could argue that you could put Kilman there and bring Todibo in the middle and Mavropanos on the right. But as I've said, Kilman looks so much better when he's in that central role. So Potter could go for someone like De Winter to play alongside Todibo in the middle, and then maybe Kilman on the left. But I don't know. I think Potter has found a solution for our leaky defence by keeping Kilman in the middle. The chances of someone like De Winter coming to West Ham, I've gone low, to be quite honest with you, merely because I think Macaulay and Potter are going to be eyeing the transfer market, ideally for a left-footed centre-back. And then that goes along with the next player, Taylor Harwood-Bellis from Southampton. Look, very, very decent footballer without a shadow of a doubt. Many would argue, quite rightly so, that he'll be an upgrade to Dinos Mavropanos. But I still believe, as I said, that we're going to be looking ideally, first and foremost, for a left-sided centre-back. Look, and I've heard all the stories. Harwood-Bellis has now moved to agent Will Salthouse, who's got a very close connection to David Sullivan. But I find this quite ironic, to be quite honest with you. Like we always say, we don't want Sullivan getting involved in transfer business. So I would hope that, and then all of a sudden with Harwood-Bellis going to Salthouse, it's like, well, yeah, get him in. It makes sense. Well, hang on a minute, people. Do we want Sullivan to be involved or do we not want him to be involved? I don't know. You make your minds up. Look, I've got no clue whether Man City, who sold him to Southampton, have got any buyback clause. And usually, they usually tend to put in some kind of buyback clause. You know, we'll first refusal on getting the player back. I don't know if that's the case. Look, the 23-year-old defender would be fantastic. Do I think he's coming to West Ham? I think the probability for him could be around 50%. So that's defenders. I'm sure there are others out there. What about midfield? Well, let's, of course, start with Gomes. Look, we know we need a dynamic box-to-box central midfielder, no matter who stays or leaves at the end of this season at the club. And whilst I think our chances of getting him are average, I'm veering on slightly the higher percentage probability than the lower. Look, Gomes would absolutely suit the Graham Potter setup. And I'm warming to the idea that perhaps we could entice him to West Ham. The chances, I've given it about a 60%, the probability. Look, and the reason why I've done this, I'm thinking about it carefully, is because one of the things that could well attract Gomes to West Ham United is to play under an England head coach, under Graham Potter. That might make him think, you know what, rather than going elsewhere, I know where I'll be at with him. He will probably look at the likes, other midfielders and players that are at West Ham and think, this could suit me. He'll probably speak to the likes of Bowen, likes of James Ward-Prowse, etc., other English players at the club and go, what's it like? So, look, can we afford his wages? One of the things that's been speculated. I don't think Gomes is going to be demanding as big a wage as Jonathan David. And I'm going to talk about Jonathan David in a moment. So there's a probability. I think it's possible. But I know there are going to be a lot of other clubs looking at him, Arsenal, Spurs, and various other clubs. It's really just a matter of what suits his needs, what suits his requirements. It sounds like he wants to come back to the Premier League, so why not West Ham United amongst all of them? Look, by the way, you don't have to agree with my probability. You tell me what you think. Right, wingers. Well, okay, Tyler Dibbling from Southampton. Look, the 19-year-old is indeed one to watch for the future. However, we've got plenty of competition for players on the right side of the pitch. Jarrod Bowen, Mohamed Kudus, of course, Luis Guilherme, who we heard we've turned down deals for in the recent transfer window. So it might be that Luis Guilherme might be kept. We don't know. He's an unknown entity at the moment. And I know there's a lot of speculation that Kudus could be leaving in the summer. I don't think so, to be quite honest with you. Look, if Kudus and or Guilherme leave, then yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Dibbling is targeted. For a fee of around £20 million, he could indeed be one for the future. So I'm giving this a rating of a probability of around 50%. And then, of course, let's get a look. I know there's a load of other players in other positions, goalie, etc., but I'm just giving you the ones that are just most recent, the transfer stories. And then, of course, we come to strikers, and here we go. Oops, let's get rid of that one. Here we go. On Monday, we heard reports that West Ham are competing with AC Milan and Eintracht Frankfurt for the signing of 24-year-old German striker Jonathan Burkhardt from Mainz. He's having a great season. 15 goals tally so far this season. It's rumoured that the German club will be demanding a very high transfer fee for the player who developed through the Mainz youth system. Look, a fee of around 50 million euros may be demanded. And if that's the case, I'm sorry to say, then unfortunately, I don't think there's much chance that we're going to be in for him. We are not going, especially with limited funds, we're not going to be looking at, and you're going to have to think about this when you hear all the stories coming up. I do not think we're going to be looking at spending 40, 50 million pounds on one player. I'd be very surprised, but I don't think it will necessarily happen. And then, of course, we come to Jonathan David. And I know the rhetoric is being pushed out there that we're 100% going for Jonathan David of Lille because he's a free agent come the end of this season. Look, whilst there isn't a fee to pay, there's a likely signing on fee demanded of around 17 to 20 million pounds. Again, not huge, but then Jonathan David is going to be looking for a very sizable weekly wage. Some are speculating much way over £200,000 a week. I don't know. Is that true? At Lille, he's earning a fraction of that at this moment in time. The player himself last summer made it very clear that he has big ambitions and that this is part of the reason why he's run his contract down at the French club. Lille have been good to him. Where they, in terms of his career, they play regular Champions League football for a number of years. However, he's a prolific striker who's going to be so high in demand across a numerous number of clubs throughout Europe. They're all going to be chasing his signature. Not only will he and his agent be looking for that big signing on fee, as well as that big salary, the player himself wants to continue playing in Champions League football. Now, I know we're massive, but we're not massive enough yet to be playing in Champions League. And we're certainly not going to be offering that next season and probably not even the season after that. So do I honestly think that we've got any chance of competing with the likes of Barcelona, apparently Arsenal interested in him, and various other big clubs around Europe? Do I think we can compete with them? No, I really don't. I'd love for it to happen. But let's be realistic here. Of course, now Jonathan David and Angel Gomes, they're good friends. You could see from the photos that the camaraderie between them, etc. Would one follow the other? I don't know. I know we had it with the Czech boys, but I'm not so sure we'd have it with Gomes and David. So I'm sorry, people, but I know the rumours keep being spread, keep being circulated. We're definitely in with a chance. What's happened is quite clear. This is a good example of we've approached the agents and we've asked for information. Would he be interested? And we've been given an answer. Now, probably we know the answer to what he's expecting as a signing on fee, what he's expecting in terms of salary, what other expectations are going to be demanded from the player. With the greatest of regrets, yes, we can pay the signing on fee, 20 mil. That's good. That's pittance, nothing in today's world. Can we afford to pay him 200 grand a week or more? Probably not. We've got a ceiling at this moment in time. Lucas Paquetá is earning the highest amount of money, and I think Bowen is as well, both on 150 grand a week. Would we go over that? Well, he'd certainly be worth it. He'll score a shitload of goals for us. But do I think it will happen? No, I don't. What can we offer? Yes, okay. There's still a lot to play for this season. There's still 11 games to go. We could still maybe just scrape into a European spot. Maybe, long shot, but maybe. But it certainly won't be Champions League. Now, of course, if, let's say for argument's sake, we get into Europa Conference League, so we can play European football and then win that and work ourselves up, then maybe Jonathan David might go, you're worth a shot. But I just doubt it. I really do. I'd love to think otherwise, but I really, really doubt that we're going to get anywhere near Jonathan David this summer. Who knows? Right, next one up. Emmanuel Omega, the 22-year-old striker from Strasbourg, been with them since 2023. He's still got a 3-year contract remaining with the French club. He's made over 50 appearances, scoring 20 goals. It's all right. Nothing spectacular, but it's decent. However, he could be the type of player, the type of striker that Carl McCauley is good at spotting. This player could become a huge potential in the future. Look, a modest 15 million euros, the player who's represented the Netherlands up to under 21 level, could be a bit of a pearl find, something that we all thought Steidem would be bringing us. He's tall, 6'5", is a presence in the air, but he's got great physical presence and he's got an abundance of pace. Now, this is the sort of player, one that isn't that as spectacular as the Jonathan David link, that I think could be a possibility. So I'm giving this a probability of around 60%. Why? He's young, he's dynamic, he comes cheap, he could be a player for the future, and why not? And then here's the sort of stories that I've sort of talked about at the start of the show, where they're rinse and repeat just to fill air columns. And that, of course, is Tammy Abraham on loan at AC Milan from Roma. He's got 8 goals this season, only 2 in Serie A, and then the other 6 in cup competitions, 2 in Champions League, and so on. But it just feels as if either his agent or the club itself, Roma, are pushing for a Premier League return to move the player on. Roma, I don't believe, want him back. I could be wrong there. I don't think AC Milan necessarily want to keep him. And so the agent gets out there and starts speculating, as he did in the summer, that he's available. And West Ham United are 100% interested in him. Do I think he's a decent striker? He's okay. He's okay. Do I think there's much mileage in the rumours? I'm not so sure. He's apparently strongly linked with a number of clubs, Fulham, ourselves, 1 or 2 others. The reason why I'm giving this a low probability is because this is probably about this will be coming the 3rd summer transfer window that we've been linked to him, and nothing has materialized. And then another one with a very low probability, I'll put it as 0, is Samu Agahowa, who joined Portuguese club Porto in the summer from Atletico Madrid. And do you know why I've got a 0% probability? Apparently, he's got a release clause of 83 million euros. Now, I know these release clauses are put in there to put teams off. And let's be honest, 83 million euros is going to put West Ham United off. So there you have it. These are the latest speculations, the latest rumours. But we know when it comes to a striker who Graham Potter really wants. And that, of course, is Evan Ferguson. Look, what we're hoping is that Ferguson in the remaining 11 games improves, gets much fitter, starts scoring goals, etc. And I know there's a lot of talk about how Brighton are going to make it difficult, because if he hits, if he smashes it for the remaining 11 games, Brighton apparently are asking for 50, 60 million pounds. I don't think that will happen. I think if he does well and he proves that he can stay fit and score a few goals, I think there's a deal to be had there. So I'm rating that at around about 80%. I know there are other stories out there that probably I haven't mentioned, but let's see what you all think of my probability scorings. Darren, we've got other youngsters to come in the summer. We signed and loaned straight up. Said that one. Salamar, good afternoon to you, mate. I just heard Fulcrum. He's back training. He's back training. So's Paquetá. They're back. They're both in contention for. And we also saw that video, didn't we, of Crescencio Somerville training in the gym. I think he's a bit further behind, but yeah, Fulkrug is back. Could be in contention for Monday night. So can Paquetá. But I'll do a preview and I'll talk about all that and who will drop out. Not necessarily from the starting 11, but from the squad. Especially if Fulkrug and Paquetá are back. Obsidian. After we won this transfer window, I'm going to reserve judgment on that. Exactly that, mate. Exactly that. Michael, don't see too many changes next summer. Potter is working from the defence and doing well at the moment. And I agree with you on that. I do. I mean, you're going to be surprised. I mean, on paper, according to all these different social media channels, we've got about 20, 21, 22 players that are probably going to leave the club. Clearly, that's a load of rubbish. But I'm doing that show. I might do it tonight if I can finish the script for that. Matt, question. What was the point of Wes if he wasn't going to get a sniff? Seems, well, no. A lot of point about Wes. He's homegrown. So that ticks that box. Did any of us really think he was going to be ahead of either Areola or Fabianski? I certainly didn't. But he's been brought in. It was clever. He was brought in to hit the homegrown tally. David. Jonathan David and Gomes are pipe dreams for us with no Europe. We need a new pearl diver. I'm inclined to agree. Gomes a bit closer, but certainly I love to have them both. I would, of course, I would, but I can't see it either. Graham, I find it refreshing that finally we don't talk all about our transfer business in the media. Could it be that the club are smartening up, or it could be that there's a certain individual that has left the PR side of West Ham United? Could be that. Peter, rumour has it, sounds like the start to a song. Ricky, still, do you really think Potter will give the home supporters entertaining football to liven up the London Stadium? I've seen it already. There's been a few games. I mentioned it the other day when I did a show. I think on the whole, we've seen far more entertaining football, and I think it will get better. Matt, we don't need Gomes. Get Jay Davio. Who's Jay Davio? I don't know who that is. Or was that meant to be Jonathan David? Obsidian. Apparently, Matt, all clubs have a third goalkeeper mostly used in training and emergency. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. We do need a third goalkeeper. Anthony, Gomes wants to join the Spuds. Who says? Social media does. Epic. Gomes is too small. We've seen what happens when we sign a player who can't cope with the physicality of the Premier League. Who was the guy that used to play for Chelsea who was about the same height? He was pretty good, wasn't he? Peter, he's got pace though, Epic. That's the thing. I agree with you. He doesn't have the height, but he's got pace and he's got a lot of skill. Peter, Asa Alkmaar should have beaten Spurs by about 3 goals last night. Europe's not for everyone, eh? Toha, I would not mind Carl Walker-Peters, versatile and plays both sides. He ripped West Ham 1 on the left recently. He's a good player. Peter, has Walker-Peters played well this year apart from against us? I can't say. I don't know. Obsidian, weren't Alkmaar the mugs we beat in the semis? They were indeed. Matt, Obsidian, Curse, in my opinion, Dad just said that just now. I didn't understand that. Sorry. See, my fault. I shouldn't read out every single comment. So, I must admit, I don't know, Peter. I don't watch Southampton, neither do I. Colin, good afternoon to you, mate. I believe Soler isn't willing to drop his 200 grand a week wages. From what I've seen so far, I don't think Soler is anywhere near worth that. So, no. I mean, I have checked this, and I don't believe he is earning that much at PSG. But I would agree with you. I think, with the greatest of respect to him, I think we could use that money elsewhere. With the greatest of respect to him. Scott, Soufal and Souček are leaving. You're going to have to wait for the next show to find out. Flyfox, I trust Potter to judge Nia better than me. Likewise. Look, apparently he's interested in a Gerd coming back. Why not? If Potter thinks he can get the best out of him, then why not indeed? Who else have we got? Peter, rumour, Man United looking at getting a Gerd. Look, he's done really well. If they're looking at getting a Gerd, we want 35 million for him. Harry, good afternoon to you. A Gerd let us down over international duty. Let someone else put up with his petulance and cash in. That's a really good point. You know, he always seemed to be unfit, according to Moyes at the time. He always seemed to be unfit for West Ham games, but miraculously recovered when Morocco were playing. Let me scroll down a little bit. Brian, good afternoon, mate. Nice Friday morning. Friday morning to you, mate, as well. Obsidian, does a Gerd suit the Premier League? Also doesn't play for the shirt. I would sell. That is the other side of the coin. And I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. Kent, keep a Gerd if at all possible. I think he will fit Potter's way. You see, there's 2 sides to every story. Malmster, would you swap a Gerd for Højlund? Well, they're very, very different players, aren't they? Yes, actually. Bringing Højlund to West Ham and giving them a Gerd? Yes, I definitely would. I don't see there's another sub-pro. Højlund is up to the Premier League football. Is he not? I don't know. You know, I'd give him a shot. Why not? Obsidian, Man United need another centre-back once Maguire goes to Everton. Dave, Agerd is having an exceptional loan spell. He is indeed. I will put a price tag of 40 million on him. If he doesn't want to play for us, other clubs want him. They'll have to pay the asking price. I think we'll get our money back. I think we'll get 30 million, 25 to 30 million back. I don't think we're going to lose a lot of money on him if we sell him. 40 mil? Might be a tad too much. Flyfox, no more Zuma or Ings wages next year. That's true. Well, that is very true. Yeah, totally. And that saves us a lot of money as well. Darren, can't see us getting Gomes or David because we're not in Europe and David wants to go to Barcelona. Michael, how far behind am I? Not far. How long have I got? 15 minutes before my lunch break ends. Michael, rumour, West Ham have a 16.5 million deal on the table for David, but he is wanted by at least 5 teams. Yeah, rumour. I would not be surprised if we made an offer. Look, this is what we'll offer. And after his agents have had a right good laugh, would turn around and said, we'll let you know. Stephen, in midfield, we'd have Kante coming back from Paris Saint-Germain. I talked about Kante the other day. He only got his first game for the senior team last week. 4 minutes, people. He's been playing for the under-21s, Paris Saint-Germain under-21s. Let's not forget, not Paris Saint-Germain, sorry, Paris FC. Let's not forget, Paris FC are in the League Two. They're vying for promotion back into League One. So this is a player that plays for a League Two club who can't get game time in that League Two club. I don't know how much we're going to be expecting from him when he arrives at West Ham in the summertime. Darren Maxter, I would swap a Gerd for Hoyland, mate. I would. Oh, yeah. Why? Yeah. Flyfox, I hear Abraham will be available. I've already just mentioned him. Obsidian. I'm not certain David will make it at the very highest level. If he flops at Barca, we may get a bargain. Well, that's a good point. If he doesn't succeed, I think he will. He's a goal machine. But if he doesn't succeed, I make you right. A team like West Ham United could pick up the pieces. Absolutely. Peter. Stephen, he hasn't had much game time at all. Only made first team on the young French lad. Michael, David, only after money. So highest payers get him at Lille. He's only on 35k a week. Yeah, he's going. And that's why he made it very, very clear. I'm running down my contract. So basically, so he can go wherever he wants and demand whatever he wants. Now, he's not going to do that and then come to West Ham on 150 grand a week without Champions League football. I'd love to think otherwise, but you see the logic? Costa, I think we'll struggle to sign anyone of note. I don't mind that. Due to no European football, we got Paquetá and Kudus because we had European football. Had we not, I'm sure they wouldn't have joined. You're probably absolutely right. But this is the beauty of having Carl McCauley. He's going to go it. What we're going to get is we're going to get players who have got potential, but they themselves know that coming to the Premier League is a stepping stone. So coming to a club like West Ham is a stepping stone. It puts them in the shop window. And if they do, you just look at Brighton. You look at the players that they've had over the years who have gone on to play for the bigger clubs in Premier League. You know, and I think this is the platform that we're offering. You're absolutely right. We're going to be getting players who kind of like there or thereabouts. Maybe we've heard of them. Maybe we haven't. We'll get them on the cheap and we'll say, look, here's your platform. Here's where you can impress on the Premier League stage. You do well, there could be a big money deal in for you. Now, I know what you're all going to say. Well, hang on a minute. Why buy in order to sell? Well, if you buy cheap and sell high, then that's worth it. So you can reinvest. What we've done over the years, we've squandered money on players. You know, the 35 mil on Scamacca and the 45 mil on the Andersons and all that, or whatever we paid, and the Halers, etc., and then not utilize them in the right way. This is a new era. That's why I said at the start of the show, we're looking at a different level here. We're entering uncharted territory because McCauley isn't going to go out and buy himself a 30-40 million pound player. He's going to get the 15 mil, the 20 mil, the 11 mil, the Ecuadorian centre-back that we've never heard of, the Peruvian right-back who's big in Peru, but no one's ever heard. Do you know what I mean? You see the context I'm trying to make. And they're going to be given an opportunity to play. Not all of them will succeed, but the ones that will, we're going to go, right, we've now got a 22-year-old Peruvian right-back that we bought for 8 mil. Chelsea want him for 40. Sell him. Let's go and get ourselves another 3 with that 40 mil. That's the way I think it's going to go. So you're absolutely right there, Costa. You know, we're not going to sign, but it's not a struggle to sign anyone of note. I think it's going to be deliberate. We're not going to be looking to sign anyone of note, the 30-40 million pound players. Gaza. I agree, still. Both of them ain't coming here. Let's forget about these two. Sullivan knows we ain't getting them, but looks good going for West. Like I said earlier on, let's not assume all the time that it's the board that are saying that we're trying to get these players. Finn, as long as the senior source is here, we won't look for talent. We will look for names. This is going to change. Ironically, this is going to save the senior source money, because if we go out and buy ourselves a 15 million pound player rather than a known talent 40 million, what's he going to say? No, go and get the 40 million pound player. Peter, not getting anywhere near qualifying for conferences here. No, there's a chance, but it's very, very unlikely. Flyfox seems more likely that than David. I'd rather someone from overseas or the Championship for low money, but who knows? Spot on. Milan Flyfox signed Santi Jimenez. Obsidian. Have we been linked with Nesiri yet? Let's hope not, eh? Darren, the 1000th time of rumours with exactly that usual. Darren, so you didn't put Sullivan's favourite striker in, Callum Wilson. You never know. You never know. Look, at least he won't score against us unless he scores an own goal. Finn, what about the annual link with Batshuayi? Absolutely. Peter, would be a huge shock if Ferguson smashes it against Brighton. Oh, yes, of course, he can't play against Brighton. You're right. So he's got 10 games to prove himself. I'll make you right. Any news on Lingard? Obsidian. Ferguson missed a chance. Even Antonio would have taken 60 minutes. Exactly. He's had 2 chances now against Arsenal and in the last game as well. Fluffed his lines. But there's a way to go. Darren, Fulkrug and Ferguson up front in the second half on Monday. No, that won't happen. Anthony, I'm sorry, mate. Anthony, I don't believe Paquetá is in the right frame of mind. I'd leave him out until he gets his trial done. Good point. I'd rather Abraham Lincoln. Peter, can't see Heggie making it as he has been loaned out loads like Nathan Trott. I don't know, I don't know. Heggie is an interesting player. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Daniela, Spurs are a mess and Newcastle fans are nervous, but still a tad overconfident. Let's beat them. Let's beat them indeed. Anthony, can we get Flynn Downs back? He is having trouble with Southampton boss. I don't know. I think we've got other players there. Hammers Chat, 40 too much for a Gerd, unfortunately, but 30 million would be good. I hope you're well, Gio. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Hammers Chat again, Gio. Paris were purchased by Red Bull. They developed players to sell, but they already sold him. Yeah, that's a really good point. Now, I read that. I mentioned that the other day. Now, apparently, because Red Bull bought him, they said, right, he's not going into the first team. He's already gone. So then there might be an element of truth there. I read that the other day. Darren, Stelios wanted is the youngster I meant who we signed and load back out, but that's Kante, Mohamedou Kante at Paris FC. Brian, Stel, I said after the Arsenal win, our next loss will be against Liverpool. I bet we beat them. I bet we beat them. Look, I don't know how many times I've been to bloody Liverpool over the last couple of years. This is the time we beat them. Anyway, I stand by that. I have Clampton Blue Hope. Why not us? 8th place, here we come. Dads, good afternoon, guys. I hope you're well. Have you seen our parody video yet? I haven't. Put a link in and I'll promote it for you. Michael, Potter and Macaulay to be joined by Ashworth in the summer, so we'll have a director of football. I don't think that's happening. Now the senior sources suggested that money's tight. Too tight to mention. And apparently it will cost us quite a pretty packet to get Ashworth in on wages, and maybe it might be better spent on players. Darren, wonder if Fulkrug and Ferguson will be in on the second half. I don't think so. Maybe one or the other, but both, no. Dads, have a look at Brighton's transfer activity over the years. They buy lots of youngsters on the cheap and sell them high. That transfer strategy has been allowed them to boost finance. Exactly that. And that's exactly where I think we're going. Daniela, you're right on Kudus. I don't see many clubs paying a high valuation. I don't actually think we're going to sell him. You're going to have to watch out for the show I'm going to do about who I believe are going to go and who I believe are going to stay. And I'll give you a hint. I don't think we're selling any big name players in the summer. But you're going to have to watch the show to understand why I think that. Finn, renew your season ticket before the 31st. She's booked in for another going over on Harley Street. She's booked in for another, going over, already done. I looked at it yesterday and I thought, shall I wait? And I thought, oh, sod it. Just do it. Do it. Dads, Brighton had to take that strategy because higher profile names did not want to go there because of the club, and they didn't have the budget to pay their high wages to get them to the club either. And it's worked well for them. Darren, I think the summer we will sign mostly freebies to strengthen our squad as we have no money. I don't mind freebies if they're the right freebies. I've got no issue with getting free players so long as they're the right ones. Peter, we were sniffing around Matata when Palace got him. Were we, though? Catton, good afternoon, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Flyfox, Louis Vuitton and Red Bull, they're going to get big. Louis Vuitton, they're going to get big. Louis Vuitton in football now. um, Peter, Scars has improved by playing for the under-21s early in the season, and now we've got him at his peak. Fantastic. Dads, I've tweeted over to you if you wanted to play it. Thank you very much. I'll have a look at it. Darren, people thought we would get stuffed by Arsenal. Look what happened. Bring on the Scousers. We are going to beat them. I'm telling you now. Here's an exclusive. We're going to beat Liverpool at their ground. Peter, if Fulcrum does get fit, he should be told not to run, just be a goal hanger. Don't move. Wait for the ball. Have you had a baby? Gio, I didn't know that. Congratulations, mate. Up later in the night to see if it can be discharged. I hope all is well. Congrats. Josh, afternoon, mate. What's your prediction for Monday night? I reckon 2-0. If they had Gordon and Isaac, I wouldn't be positive, but it's lined up nicely. I said the last two games that we can't keep a clean sheet, and I was proved wrong. So I'm going to say we can't keep a clean sheet, but we'll win 2-1. There you go. What else we got? Ricky. Sorry, I had to do that. Still, wasn't it great watching the under-18s win their semi-final away at Derby earlier this week? Reading await us in the final, plus the under-21s are now unbeaten. Yeah, if you watch the West Ham Weekly on Monday night, you'd know all this already. I'm kidding, Ricky. But yeah, absolutely fantastic news. Well done to them. Michael, Kudus can go only if we get the 85 mil for him. Otherwise, we keep him. Make him work for a transfer. Don't back down. Take less. He's signed the contract. Yeah, I don't think he's going anyway. I could be wrong. Flyfox. Paris FC is owned by, is it? By Louis Vuitton. Now that I didn't know. I know about Red Bull, but I didn't know about Louis Vuitton. I was wondering why that was mentioned. Foxes, good afternoon. I hope you're well. Catton, sadly, it's still morning in the US. Oh, mate. We've been following it with, well, what's been going on over there? We wish you well. Obsidian. Peter, apparently Amazon made an offer. Driver said he left it on the doorstep, but no one's seen it. Josh, us beating Liverpool would be hilarious, but if you ask me, entirely impossible. But could you imagine Arsenal social media channels if we did? Don't be sorry. It's not your fault. Right. That's it. I've got to get back to work. Thank you all for joining. Really much appreciated. Let me think about doing a show tonight. Nigel's away, so I've got to consider whether I'm going to do one. There is another show coming that, like I've said, about the players that we could possibly sell or move on in the summer. And at this moment in time, I've got a list of 21 players that have been linked to leaving West Ham, either because of the end of their contracts or because, we're going to sell them or this, that, and the other. Clearly, we're not going to get rid of 21 players. So watch out for that. Thank you all for watching. Do leave your comments. Do leave your in the chat, etc. Please do hit the like button if you watched the show. And please do become a subscriber if yet to do so. Thank you all very much. And I will see you all either later tonight or sometime over the weekend.